Thanks, Jake. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to tonight's Globus Talks. It's a pleasure to have you here. And we are very, very happy to have Yoko and Yoko here with us today. And Yoko Sua, Yoko Horiuchi, both of whom I know very, very well. Thank you very much, ladies, for generously donating your time this evening. I'd like to get right into it. I just came from a very large financial services client. And they have a senior global leader training program. This client has about 45,000 employees throughout the world. It's a very, very old Japanese financial institution. And they have 12 people in their so-called senior global leader training program, which ended today after 6 months. And there weren't any women in it at all. And I was speaking to their head of HR, and I said, it's kind of strange because you're preaching diversity and talent management and all this kind of stuff. But, and the guys were great, but there aren't any women. And his response is, well, we can't find any. And I scratched my head. Well, out of 40, 50,000 people, I think you could find at least one. Probably you could find 12 to fill the whole program. But he said, yeah, we've got plenty of women, but they're not just there yet. They're not just there yet. Both of you have worked and are working, in fact, in large companies. Yoko Sua is more on the luxury brand goods and more on the entrepreneurial side. Yoko Horiuchi is coming from kind of the mega agricultural and pharma side of the place. Do you encounter such opinions and sentiments, either now or in your career, specifically with respect to Japanese companies? Why don't I use Horiuchi-san? Although I call you Yoko all the time, we'll get confused. So Horiuchi-san.
First of all, I'm very appreciated to have this opportunity with all of you. Hope my comments, work for you. So I'm gonna enjoy the time with you. And that Mark's question, I have a kind of same experience within my company now. For example, when I was having the opportunity to have more human resources, my boss was saying, you had to grow fast before having your direct subordinates. And then when my younger colleagues, he's younger than me, and then when he was the same opportunity, his boss was saying he had to have subordinates to grow more. So that kind of the mentality or kind of, how can I say? So I could feel some obstacles to overcome. I have to grow first before having more upper position. And then he has to be upper position to grow more. So it's, the order is opposite, I could feel. So that's my, feeling.
What does this mean, grow? Growth, growing, into what, at what speed? Who judges what growth is? Any insights? Do these guys know what they're talking about? Or is this some kind of stock cliche answer they're throwing out because they don't have a clue or somewhere in between? What do you think?
I don't think I have right answer, but that I should ask them more why first, but maybe they are a little bit afraid of promoting women more upper position by their decision. So they need more, confirmation or clear outcome to explain why that women is moving up.
What do you think drives that fear? Does it have to do with preserving their own position in the status quo? Does it have to do with basically covering their behind because they're worried, as with any business decision, they'll make the wrong decision and they'll be scolded? What do you think is the driver of that fear, such that it would be of such substance that they would use it to impede the progress of somebody else?
Maybe women including me, is a opportunity to change their lifestyle more often than men. For example, like getting married or having child, or because the husband is moving to other place. Women has lots of opportunity to change their lifestyle more than men, I think.
So you think this dynamic, this unpredictability is dwelling in their minds, and they say, well, it's just not worth the effort.
Uncertainty.
Uncertainty, yeah. Yoko, any similar encounters in your career? You've worked for giants, Accenture, and so forth. Any sentiments on that in terms of what we've been talking about, Horiyuchi-san?
Well, honestly, everything came from chauvinism. First of all, like mentality and in Japanese culture. So that's a big part of it. Not everything, but big part of it. So I think men is not that comfortable like having women in a senior position. Not like what's the word? Subconsciously. And that like affect like every single decisions they make. So that's so true that women has to deal with having child, having not understandable husband, whatever thing. But there's a way to overcome all this obstacle, and then the male management team doesn't believe that. So and it doesn't give any opportunity for them to overcome. That's what I feel.
So
Yeah.
you would say it's just outright prejudice,
Yes.
mainly chauvinism,
Yeah.
which is
Am I
probably
too
a polite
direct?
word. No, that's okay. That's why we're here, to get your
Oh,
raw
yes.
thoughts, unedited. Basic prejudice is at its core, you would say.
Yes. The basic.
Horiyuchi-san, would you concur with that? Basically, it's prejudice. I like women, but I don't like them as my boss. That sort of thing. And the reasons that you cited about the dynamic lifestyle and so forth, yeah, it's just sauce for the goose.
Maybe I'm saying the same ideas with different words, but so they are afraid of investment their money and time to women. So because they, I don't know, it's possible to they cannot get the return from them
For the
directly.
investment, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, both of you have worked and are working in foreign capital companies, Gaishikei, although they have significant operations in Japan and there's a strong Japanese flavor to it. You have also both worked overseas in overseas positions and worked in very diverse multinational environments.
In US, you cannot say like really chauvinist thing like directly to the people in front of the people in the public, but they still have a mentality of chauvinism among male, and then you still have to deal with that. But you don't have to deal with like stupid comment like you are getting married and you don't have a time for working hard in this position, so you don't want to take this position. There's not comment like that. So that's a big difference. But there's a chauvinism in any country, including US, which I work for, and then and you have to. Can I change the subject a little bit? You have to deal with okay, bad word again, racism, okay, but because we are minority, right? And especially minority, Asian and female, you have to deal with that. Still in my company, I have my stuff there, but you have to deal with that, like a new thing. But can I continue?
Absolutely.
So what I thought was I have to make myself like super minority like background with like unique skill set or ability. And if you become yourself super minority, you become rare, and then you become more valuable to the people. That's the way I get this position, I believe, after working in a company. Well, English is like language, but it's a big skill as a Japanese. And then it's really hard for American company to find someone who can speak English really well, and who understands Japanese culture, Japanese language, Japanese business, situation, and then they just, fund yourself, and then they grab you, then put in a high position, even though you have no experience. I have no experience of luxury brand or fashion brand or anything, but they put me into the position because I have those skills. And they understand that fact that I understand American culture, Japanese culture, and then combine them together. So that's the value they see me.
Sure. When it was called Anderson Consulting. And we have a very, very lengthy acquaintance, lengthy friendship. Jake's dramatic introduction about the ballerina story, I think, caught everybody's attention. But it is true, you were a prima. And
I was, and I wanted to be.
You wanted to be.
I was so close to that, but I wasn't. So.
and then some misfortune befell you. And then when I met you in Anderson Consulting, you were working. I was working in strategy. I think you were in HRM, right, or human performance, or something like that.
I tried to get rid of IT part.
Yeah. Financial services, the kind of projects that we were working on. New market entry, restructuring, foreign capital companies coming to town, setting up mutual fund businesses, light years apart from what you had been doing. And then after that, you went to Wharton, and then Itochu, and then working in mergers and acquisitions, and so on and so forth. So your career trajectory has been one of hyper-differentiation, right?
Yes.
What drives that? Because when we speak to people, male or female, often they say, well, I can't do that because I'm not confident enough, or I'm not good enough, or I studied engineering, how could I possibly do art? What drives that?
No, I'm not, if you're smart enough with a certain level, you can do anything. You can, if you don't have knowledge, you just ask the certain people. If you know the way to figure it out, then you can move from financial industry to the fashion industry to the M&A. Maybe I needed my Wharton degree, MBA degree, because it's really skill-oriented area. So, but you figured out the way to get that education, which is MBA. So why you have to be afraid about, So, but I didn't have a choice to stay in a certain, that consulting world. I didn't like it. I didn't like all my working environment and everything. So I have no choice to leave. So that was my driver, but still, what was the question? Sorry. Yeah.
So part of it, the reason for moving on is perhaps boredom, or you've reached your max or your zenith in that particular environment, and you're hungry for the next.
Yes.
The next thing.
It could be the position itself. It could be like she said, the company doesn't give me any opportunity anymore to grow. So why do you have to stay here?
Yeah.
Let's go somewhere.
Yeah. And your differentiation comes almost as a consequence of that mindset. I get the impression, talking to you, you didn't wake up one day and say, today I shall differentiate myself in this very strategic way. It has developed over a long period of time, driven by other things inside you. Yeah. Horiuchi-san, any thoughts on that? Differentiating yourself to deal with the status quo?
Before working for Syngenta, I worked for a very domestic company, Sapporo Beer Company. And when I was working for them, I could feel, I cannot grow more there. So that at that time, I decided to move from Sapporo to Syngenta. And from my experience in the US, I work for a nonprofit organization who are supporting the adults with developmental disabilities, so to make them work in the community. So when I was there, I was learning horticultural therapy and working as an intern as a horticulture therapist. Then I could feel, when I was working for Sapporo, I was involved in the agribusiness division. So I have kind of experience and knowledge about agribusiness and the horticultural method. So I could feel I could combine my experience with that kind of welfare industry, then create more new service or new business in Japan. So if I was looking for only the exist business or role or a company, I couldn't feel like that. So when I took the chance to go to US, working as a intern at the NPO, so that is creating my ideas, not the existing one, but the new one, new style. So then I could feel that's kind of be my differentiation from others. So if I only work for beer company, I just know that field, and I only just working for the horticulture industry, I just know that situation. So maybe it was a good opportunity for me to open my eyes and combine the different things together. So that was my, trying be differentiated from others' experience. Yeah. The horticulture therapy is one of the therapy, not the medical therapist, but the, how can I sub?
Mental.
Yeah, you can do mental thing, and you can do more rehabilitation things like occupational therapy. So we have the clients, therapists, and plants or flowers, horticultural things. So we therapist is making the clients to become more, better position or a better way. So that's the horticulture therapist. So the NPO I work for was the clients means the adults with developmental disabilities. So clients can be like elderly people or rehabilitation, from the brain injured or from the other injury. Anybody can be the clients. So, but the therapist has to be the one who can make that clients move to the, better position or better, position. So.
And how's that venture going? Plans for us? Did you kick it off yet? Not yet.
Not yet.
Getting back to the subject about dealing with the status quo, if we put aside the environment just for the time being, is it worth trying to change it or cope with it or run away from it? What do you think? Yoko?
Well, I tried to change it before when I was young. I fight against the company of a thing to try to get the better position, talking to my bosses, but it's like deeply into this culture. And then they grew up like that. Their parents are like that. The Japanese histories are like that. And then I realized that it's kind of waste of my energy and time to change people's mind in this culture. But at the same time, I feel like I have a responsibility to change this culture in like my own way, not like talking to people, not like changing people's mind, just, having like I don't know, showing like I was lucky I got this opportunity to get this really good education, and then people who support me. You helped me to get into the MBA too. I'm so lucky to have this life too, and then having like enjoying my career, my position, my work every day. Woke up with like freshly this. I mean, I have to move up like as much as possible, and then also I have to have like my team to grow up with me. Like I have a very smart and talented staff in my office. Like I was so lucky to have them. Like I was lucky to find them, and they're great, smart, but I don't know why they're not in my position. That's my question. Like they're smart enough, like they're college enough, and then they do their job really well. But somehow they ended up with not having my position. I don't know why. I kind of know why, because it's culture. Because they didn't know they can do this. They didn't have the opportunity to reach the MBA degree, MBA education, or didn't find the people to support them to get there. So this is, I think, my responsibility, because I got this, so I have to share with people. In that way, maybe I can change this society and then culture little by little. That's what I feel. Well, basically, I want to run away, but from those chauvinist people. But I try to avoid them. Also.
With regard to talent, and I want to come back again to, do you cope with it? Do you change it, or do you run away? But on the talent thread, you're a leader of your organization here. It's a foreign capital company. The client that I referred to earlier was complaining that they couldn't find talent, although 50% of the organization is female. How do you find talent?
Luck.
Luck? Yeah.
Well, I have a I guess you have to develop the right eye to find people, like skill set and personality, and their condition of their life. They are not happy, and they will bring the bad energy to the workplace. That's bad, and you have, as a leader, you have to stop that. Or you can change their. Well, it's hard to change their bad emotion, but I was lucky. It's like I find one girl through agent, and I find another girl through my friends, and then another girl is just she was there from the beginning. I just feel like I'm lucky. Like why I was able to find those people, I don't know why.
And
that's my talent, maybe.
Well, yeah, it could very well be. And in the story of your search for talent, there's obviously an abundance of females available, but they didn't meet your needs or your specifications. If you put aside the subject matter expertise that's required, when you hired 3 women, this particular story, right?
Yeah.
Did you say, I'm looking for 3 women, or did you say, I'm looking for excellent talent, and it just so happened they turned out to be women? What was the story there? How did that work out?
Well, through agent, you always come with like skill set, right, first.
Yeah.
And then ask them to send like candidate, and then did some interviews. That's it. Now another thing is, well, skill sets has to comes first, because we need English speaker. But like I find another girl through my friends, and then of course we talk about personality matching with me and other people. So
special about them. There's something inside. What is it?
They know how to find like happiness. Happiness equation. Yeah. And they don't take things too seriously. Life is life, and then work is work.
Yeah.
But and also I have to. The one things I like to have like my team members is that willing to do more, willing to learn, and then from my side, in return, I have to give them try to get more better salary and compensation.
Yeah.
That's things I have to give, but they have a positive energy to bring to come. Well, whenever they're in office, they bring the positive energy, and then try to do more. That's the thing.
You're definitely an outlier on the curve. Are these women somehow similar to you? Do you see some qualities in them that you see in yourself? Are they also outliers?
Well, talking about the girls in my office is they went through a lot, like I did in the past, like bad things too, and good things too. So they're around my age, and then they have a history of their life, and then they have like enough experience to appreciate certain things, and then they know what makes them happy. So that's the thing.
And I'm not sure if they're going to watch the TV show or YouTube show afterwards, but I don't think they'll mind if I ask this question. It's probably going to come out in their MBO performance review anyway, but do you see them as leaders? Do you see them in a
Leaders,
different way? How
They
do you see them?
have to be a leader because our organization is really small, and they have to be a leader of a certain area. Like one girl is in charge of accounting, one girl is in charge of like customer service, one girl is like eyewear division. They have to be a leader, and they have to. Well, they of course like very nice and smart, so they ask when to get my approval and stuff. But basically, they have to use their brain to navigate their work and then do like certain work every day. They have to be a leader of their area. So that's what I feel.
In that leadership capacity, they're empowered. Are you empowering them, or are they reaching out and grabbing it for themselves? Or
That's
both
a
is
good
happening?
question. Both happening, but talking about the Japanese working environment, there's not many like bosses who's willing to give them give them power to lead the division. They want some people like micromanage people. They just complain everything, but they don't show any appreciation. So I experienced that as a female in the past. So I learned that I wouldn't do that. That could be the good thing towards my team members. And then also I picked the right people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
handpicked. Horiyuchi-san, in your case, rather I should say in Yoko's case, she worked for a very large company, and then she took a more entrepreneurial and then an entrepreneurial route in a different industry. You are working for a massive company. It's a big one. It's well known. Coming back to the, do I cope? Do I run? Do I stay and change? What's your opinion on that?
I think it depends on that situation that I have. As Suwa-san said, when I was much younger, I was trying to be changing the others, not me, But it didn't work. So now, sometime I was trying to explain people why I want to do this and how I want to involve them, and the outcome will be like this. So sometimes I explain that, but sometimes if it's not the reaching subject or matters, sometimes I just let them do. So in that case, the situation is more higher positions matters. So it depends on the matters and issues. So, but from my personal, characteristics, I don't want to run away. So I want to be, I want to be positive always and don't give up, but not go or try too much. That's my feeling. So, but even though I work for the big companies like Sapporo and Syngenta now, my role is always belonging to that new business. So it starts tiny and then has been growing. So I could feel, even though I work for the big company, but I could feel I was like a, not entrepreneur, but I was like a,
Entrepreneur, maybe.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, so, so in that sense, as Suwa-san said, in the field, I should be a leader, and I have to empower people with other functions. So I don't know. Maybe if I try to make more executive people move, it's going to be tough. But I can do what I could deal with. So we have 6 executives, and 2 of them are women. So one woman was coming from the lower position, and one is coming from the outside of the company. So there are opportunities. Yeah, but as I said, you should be capable. Men, both said you have to grow first.
Yeah.
Of course, growing as a leader and creating the certain outcomes and good result financially. But it's not enough, I think. I have to empower people more, and I have to explain the result more, how I could do, or how it was difficult, and not showing something, but I have to explain more what I did. So, and then I have to explain more about the future, possibilities. So what I can do and what I want to do for the organization, or something like that.
Do they have any meaning or importance for you? Is it something that you consciously set out to design? I have this as my personal mission statement or my mission in life. Is it something more instinctive? Is it something that you prefer to structure, or is it something that you prefer to do more intuitively? What do those words mean for you?
The vision and the mission is really important for me. I mean, why I work for, or why I'm existing in this world. So then I have realized my mission is empower people, by utilizing the horticulture method, and then bringing plants' potential to their lives. So I could see my core mission, so that's why I could work, in the difficult situation. So for me, it's really meaningful to have mission and vision.
I think in this esteemed institution, they encourage the MBA students to create, it's a personal mission statement, is that correct? Yes. Okay, can you, if you don't mind, can you share with us what your personal mission statement is?
As I said, I would like to empower people by utilizing horticulture method, so bringing plants' potential to their lives. So, and then I really believe I exist that meaning. I exist in the world with that mission. So, but that's mission and vision, and after that, so I have to find how. How. So as I said before, I was planning to make my own business. So it will be time to do. So when I feel I could not grow more with the present company, so it will be time. So I don't know when, but.
And then you have the additional pressure of the male hierarchy on top of that. What goes through your mind? Do you say, hey, look, it's time to move on? Or this is the day I shall choose to fight in the organization? How do you cope with that?
I'm still looking for the solutions, but as I said before, I don't want to run away, so I have to deal with the situation, and then holding the MBA program. I mean, after graduating from MBA course, and I have realized, we have lots of case studies, and then most of storage has no 100% right answer. So we have to think. I mean, we have to decide what we should do, or what I want to do, or what the life expect me to do. So so at this moment, I don't have any good solutions, but as long as I can feel I can grow at that position or within the company, I want to try to make my best. But if I feel, okay, this is not the place for me to grow, so I have to leave. So
How long have you been at Syngenta?
almost 4 years.
So it sounds like your growth trajectory is going quite well.
Yeah. Maybe, yeah.
I know that I won't get that like now and in the future. Only things I wanted was ballet. That's the only things, and then I kind of know that it's not going to happen again. I was so lucky to have that at the beginning of my life, and then I don't think there's a second chance for that. So so I'm just like so jealous about her, like current situation, and then mission statement. I don't like write my mission statement in my notebook or talk to the people, but just intuitively I know that what is the theme of my life, sort of. That was developed from my past and history. So.
Do you mind sharing with
I
us?
do.
Can you
I do.
can you share what that theme is?
No, like, I had a really hard time when I was 20s. As a female in a professional world, I tried to compete with other guys. Try to overcome all the chauvinists, like bosses and female bosses. So, but I couldn't find. I mean, I had a hard time, and then I couldn't find the person to look up to as a female. So I don't have to be the person who like people look up all the time, but like in a bit and bit, I would like people to learn like what as a female profession, they should do and behave in a positive way, not the way I learned from the other female professional when I was young. So I wanted to be like behave clean and then elegant and in a beautiful way. So and then the business world is like a little bit dirty, and then people try to get to someone's credit. I wouldn't do that because I had that experience. And then female has to support other female. That's the mission I have. Oh, mission. Oh, yeah. I should write it down.
Quick, write it down before you forget it.
So, and then I have to bring, everyone, like I said, everyone cannot get that great opportunity like I have in the past. I was lucky. So I have to bring those people up and then can do more and they can make more money and stuff. So.
And, we've known each other for such a long time. I know when you say make money, it's never been simply for the sake of making money. It's just been a way of kind of keeping score in the game. You use it almost as fuel in your gas tank for life experiences,
Exactly.
as opposed to the wanton
Yeah.
accumulation of wealth for its own sake.
And well, I always say money, but because I have, like, I'm not into fashion, even though I'm in the fashion industry. So I don't know. I always use money as a thing, but some people like her. Well, she's making good money, I think, but you know, she has a mission and an area she wants to focus. That is great, but I knew that I'm not gonna have that one. In like intuitively, so I just use money for that, like, you know, that to. I see money as to evaluate or value myself in a business world. Yeah.
How many people? Maybe there were 1,000 people in the organization at that time, and there may have been a total of 20 foreigners. Very, very small number. Back in 2000, when we were at Anderson Consulting together here in Tokyo. And there were women in managerial positions. I don't think there were any women partners. There were about 60 or 70 partners. And not to disparage Anderson, which is now Accenture, and besides, it's 14 years ago, so all the players have changed. Why do you think those women were able to get the managerial positions? Because that's a very male-dominated, feudal environment. What made them click with that organization that didn't click with you? What do you think? What kind of characteristics?
Well, in order to move up the company like Accenture, you have to be a friend of the higher level people, and then well, as a female, it's always kind of difficult to deal with male boss because opposite sex, right? Basically, and then I was young, and then can I go into that?
Whatever you
Maybe.
feel comfortable with, yeah.
There's many sexual harassment there, so I couldn't accept that. I rejected. You know, sexual harassment becomes sexual harassment when you reject that offer. But if you don't reject the offer, it means the opportunities, right? So I don't say, I heard about a lot of a story, but, you know, I don't say here, but you have to be, like, cope with those stuff, like sexual harassment, or, you know, you have to be nice to your boss even though you hate them. I couldn't do that. I'm too honest with that. And then I think I didn't make it as an opportunity. I can, you know, avoid them, and I still nice to them, but I was upset because sexual harassment is a bad thing. So I just rejected, and I decided to not go through that path. That's why I didn't make it to the partner of Accenture, I think. So, working for the big organization is really hard. You have to cope with so many things. You have to deal with those bad people. Well, even in a small organization, but in a small organization, you have a more freedom, and then you don't have to deal with that much.
Would you tell us a bit about what you're doing now? How did you come across Chrome Hearts? What's the story? You've been with them now for 2 years, isn't it? 3 years.
2 years, yes.
Yeah. Tell us about that.
I work for Itochu, which is a big trading company in Japan, and I was working for New York branch, and then I was doing M&A, and then Chrome Hearts is one of the company that Itochu made investment previously before I joined the company, and then I was in charge of doing separation because Chrome Hearts didn't like Itochu at all. You know, corporate culture is so different. So that was my first project. I really enjoy it. Like I use all my M&A, MBA knowledge, like finance, like evaluation, valuation skill, valuation skills and everything. That was fun. And then I put so much energy in it. And then like owner of the company liked me because of my energy and my attitude, and then I understand both culture and then business, how to communicate and business-wise. So they approached me to join the company 1 year later of this separation. And then, they asked me to move back to Japan to take that position. And then I'm doing everything like managing the whole the office and then hiring people, IT, cash flow, forecast, the finance stuff and stuff, with all the people's help. Yeah. Target is like high net worth people, like celebrity people, and who is willing to spend so much money for like silver jewelry, So silver jewelry, clothing, leather goods, leather clothing, and then furniture. Furniture is amazing. So everything is made in Hollywood, and except for eyewear. Eyewear made in Sabae, which is in Japan. I'm proud of that. So, yes, that's everything. Yeah.
And before the show, we're having a chat that you're spending a lot of time in regional areas of Japan with very operational related details. So you really get into the shop floor level some days, and then other days you're in the Ginza flagship. So you have a tremendous variety of work.
Yeah, I will do like sales rep for the eyewear, and then I'm excited because I'm making like a new warehouse in Sabae, so I have to travel to Fukui so many times. But it's like everything's new. I never made, create a warehouse from scratch. Excited.
How's it going?
We just like decided the structure. Like we have to register to the FDA, those stuff. Like really like, yeah. Thing. I do like a packing if people do, well, if there's not enough people, pack the eyewear and ship. That's what I do too.
Oh, really? You'll actually do that yourself when necessary?
Yes. Inventory count sometimes. Yeah. But that's so much fun. I mean, it's hard for physically, but sometimes do finance stuff. Sometimes do like packing. So it's interesting.
In addition to hiring and occasionally making deals overseas, it's quite a wide scope of work and a huge burden that you're carrying on your shoulders. But at the same time, you said that you were happy before the show. You're generally a happy person.
I wasn't, but after MBA, I become happier because I feel like I have something. I achieved something, yes, in my life. It was hard to go through MBA, and then I feel like I was successful. I wasn't accepted by Japanese culture before, Japanese society. They rejected me. That's what I felt when I was young, everything. And I decided to go to US, and then I felt like there's a place for me. They don't care if I'm weird, they accept me. There's so many weird people there too. So you don't have to be like a certain person, like in Japan. So, and I feel like I have more freedom because I lived in US. So she can be weird in Japan. So I use that privilege all the time. So.
Interesting. It gives you license to be weird.
Exactly. That's the one thing I got. I'm really happy with that. I'm just pure Japanese. I grew up in Japan, but I can pretend to be like something like not like purely Japanese. So I don't have to be like like certain Japanese women, which people are expecting to be.
They give you greater latitude.
Yeah. I was just a person who did like investment director, like good position, like the business card wise, but I'm relatively younger than other Itochu people back in my New York time. But the Chrome Hearts people take me as a serious. It's a part of the culture of the company because Chrome Hearts is a young company. So they don't care about my age, gender, anything. They just see me as a value of their business. That was good, yeah.
And do you feel that they're responding to the label of MBA over here? Obviously, Wharton is a well-known school.
Yeah, but
Are they-
in Japan, like Harvard, right? But Wharton, what is that? That's the people's reaction, unfortunately.
oh my God, I don't know what they're going to say about Duke, which is my school. But
Duke was nice. So, but you know, but still, Chrome Hearts didn't take me seriously that well without the Wharton education. That's a label and a brand I have.
and that decision was made in
here.
the U.S. though, or here?
U.S.
Okay.
mainly.
All right.
I just worked in here.
The business education, Horiuchi-san. How important has it been? Has it been important at all? I mean, look, let's face it. Can't you get all this information now on iTunes U? As great as my lectures are, and as charismatic as a lecturer that I am, and I enjoyed seeing you once every week or so in my class, can't I simply be replaced by an app? Is it important? This
Yes.
business school stuff?
Yes, it is important. And as Wasan said, it's kind of the my confidence to went through that program, and then when I was US, even though at the NPO organization, some people has already MBA, and I know some employees who are trying to get MBA. So I could feel working at NPO, are they, needing the MBA title? But and then at the same time, I could feel, maybe getting MBA is kind of the fundamental thing to work in the future. In US, I could see that trend already. So maybe in Japan, it's going to be that situation is coming. So I realized I didn't think I would go to getting MBA in Japan when I was returned, but I remember that idea. Okay, so in Japan, maybe in the future, having MBA is kind of fundamental to work at the organization or creating a new business. Either way, it's kind of fundamental, not the special one. I mean, it's going to be your confidence, but it's not special. You need it if you want to do what you want to do, So I could feel like that. So if, everybody should be working longer, that's the connection with the society. So in that sense, having MBA is really, make you be confident to work.
So you feel part of it is it built your confidence because you created or worked towards a massive deliverable, a 2-year deliverable, or however long or short it takes. But I often hear about people doing their MBA, especially Japanese people who go overseas, they do their MBA, they come back here, and they're still in the big company. The company often sponsors the MBAs to these top MBA schools, business schools, and the first complaint is, well, I can't do anything with it. And their aspirations are higher, having gone to the United States. They've come back here, and they're just doing the same old, same old. Any thoughts on that? You saw a trend, you saw a wave or something signal to you, this is going to be important in Japan, and you jumped into you thought that this would be good for you. But surely you've heard the stories where people are coming back and they can't use it, and they become cynical. Any comments on that?
Person who are, having the negative things after, having MBA, maybe they expect a lot from others on his or her title. But the reality, it doesn't matter. I mean, if they feel it's not the place to utilize that skill or title or confidence, they are having more wonderful opportunity the outside of that company right now. So, but if there are somebody who knows that MBA is going to be a fundamental or the confidence to work for everyone, and then that kind of boss or employees support you or them. So, but in the real Japanese company, I mean the local, old Japanese company, maybe it's not so easy to find those kind of people who can feel or know that MBA is kind of the fundamental things to work. So I don't know. It depends on that person to move on to the other place or work in that company. And it's kind of obligation to work again for the company because they were sponsor for them. So it depends on the person. So actually, when I was in the US, my company, the Sapporo, was kind of sponsor for me, to work as an intern. So they I could borrow money from company, but I had to pay that back to the company. So okay, I decided to go back and then pay some money back. Then after paying all, then I realized, okay, it's time to move. So that kind of mentality is still existing in Japan. So, but if you go through that way or if you find another way, that depends on that person. So.
Well, yeah. Do you see, even in a very traditional Japanese company, if somebody gets an MBA and they're not really using it in the beginning, do you see it as a card to get to the next level? Is it a box that's checked on the career path so they're not doing valuations today? It doesn't really matter. It's an entry ticket to the next level up, or doesn't really matter at all in terms of promotion and advancement?
In terms of the promotion within the same organization, the one company, it's not the clear path to move up. But if you are thinking to, move forward, or creating your own business, or if you have more selection what you want to do, having MBA is really matter. Because if you are working for the same company for a long time, the company is going to invest money for you. I mean, train you and expect you and give the higher position for you. So if you have that situation, you have chance to follow that. But if you want to see another world, or if you want to see another opportunity, getting MBA is, it's matter. I used to do NPO kind of business in Japan. I used to want to do that. But after graduating Globis, I could realize if I run NPO or if I run the private enterprise, we have to make money. I mean, even though the NPO, running an NPO, we have to make profit and then to grow and financially success for the sustainable business. So after graduating the MBA, I would like to have more, not NPO, but the private enterprise. So with the horticultural method and empower people. Maybe people is disabilities, developmental disabilities, or the general people who are dealing with busy days, and so I haven't decided which direction I'm going to do. But 5 years later, I'm working on my own business.
Are you going to be here? Is it worth, or do you think it will be worth staying in Japan, sticking around? I mean, there's a lot of action happening in the neighborhood. Taiwan, China, Korea, Singapore, Hong Kong. More and more we hear and we see, it's often not a lot going on over here. Is that a misperception? Is it worth staying here? Will you be here in 5 years? Or will you have some kind of a multinational virtual expanse over the globe where it doesn't really matter where you sit?
I don't know. I'm not sure, but
One more point. Do you link that to the thought, will the male-dominated environment still be here in 5 years? When you answer that, so.
Only 5 years. I think the rule in the company, I mean the many companies in Japan, don't change much. Yeah. So.
But then will you still stay here?
Stay here means Japan? I don't want to stick with that. But I don't know. Maybe I have to ask my husband if I go abroad or, But I don't know. It depends on that situation. So, but Japan doesn't grow much. So Asian countries. Some of my friends from Globis work in Shanghai or work in Singapore. So there are opportunity to go out. So I don't want to close that opportunity, but I don't think I can decide that by myself. But maybe, I don't know, my husband really supportive, I hope. So.
You should.
So, yeah.
2018, Yoko, where are you going to be?
I don't know where I'll be in 3 months. Kurumahatsu will fire me, maybe. I don't know. It's American company. 5 years. Well, my ideal situation would be like, well, Japan is still third biggest economy in the world. There is money here to do business. So, and then I can speak Japanese, which is great. That is one asset I have. But my ideal life would be like living in Japan, like half Japan and half US, because I have my love in US, like sitting over there. So he has a great business in US as an artist. Like, it's amazing to have that. Like, it's really hard to get that level. So he got that level. So I respect that really fully. But I still feel like he has opportunity in Japan too. But I have a family in Japan. I love in US, and then I'm always in between US and Japan because I have two assets to work. And then hopefully, I don't think I can go back to the big corporation after working in this small company, having so much freedom and having so much fun. So I think the next move would be, well, I at the same time, I feel like I will reach out the limit of growing in the same company. I shouldn't say that in front of my team members, but in 5 years it's fine, right? So, but yeah, I think I will move on and then hopefully start up my own business because I cannot go back to the corporation. I don't know what I would do, but still I feel like I would do something by myself with all my, people with me. Like
Right now, business is good.
very good, like
Very
amazing,
good.
very good.
Amazing.
Amazing.
Amazingly
Like
good.
in this economy, we're
Yeah.
still growing, and then as a Chrome Hearts, we opening up new stores next year in Japan. It's
Yeah.
like a nice stores, and then opening up the stores in China and New York.
What do you think's driving that? Why is it so popular? And why is it growing?
Differentiation of the product. Like there's not like cool, like hip male jewelry using a lot of effort in a product. Like it's like really unique, still high end. That the balance will attract people all over the world. So, and we don't do that much like mass commercial thing, and we don't lower the quality. I shouldn't talk about quality, but some of them it's bad. We don't. It's not. We don't make it commercialized. So, nothing's reachable that easily. That's the philosophy of Chrome Hearts. So that's this huge differentiation.
All right. Japan is a pretty easy place to live for you, right? In terms of creature comforts and infrastructure and all that kind of stuff.
Yes, but I still feel like pressure from the people who doesn't know me. I have to behave like certain way. I'm like free, right? Like I actually care about like people's eyes all the time. In a train, like
In what way? The people's eyes, because they don't look you in the eye, or
And then
they're looking in your eye, or what are they doing?
people's
Staring
eyes
you
look
down,
at
or
me
what are
like,
they doing?
oh, she's weird. Like, I have a freedom to be weird if people knows me, but if people don't know me, I'm just a weird person. So, yeah, I sometimes take a ballet class and people doesn't know me. I don't explain myself, my background, and then I'm kind of afraid of like doing something weird or stupid. So I feel like little pressure. I cannot be.
Pressure to conform
Yeah.
to the more traditional. Yeah. Horiichi-san, how about you?
It depends on which I comparing with. If I compare myself to the general Japanese women, I'm sure I'm outliner. But if I compare with, like Suwa-san, so I'm really, general.
No, we're the same. What are you talking about? Same outlier.
It's kind of the, traditional, not traditional, but the typical Japanese women. I don't know. But,
I'm still outlier.
but I'm a outliner maybe because I didn't get married since, I got married last year.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. And then everybody was, saying to me, you are going to be alone all the life. So, but but I could feel I could decide, my life.
Yeah.
What I wanna do,
Yeah.
what I wanna be. So, but many Japanese women, I don't know, maybe having pleasure to be to be wife. I don't know, maybe somebody said yes, but someone said no. So, but I didn't care when I was, before before getting married. So, I don't know, maybe everybody has each right timing to move on, personally and professionally. So yeah, yeah. Everybody can be happy, be outliner, right?
Very happy.
Can be happy. So
That question of marriage comes up. Now, this is my own anecdotal experience. I have no data to support this. It's just my own observations. That question of marriage always, always, always comes up in the context of women. Never does it come up in the context of men. I never get that question, right? You're surprised? Now I feel bad. What does it mean? There are going to be women in the audience and who see this show, and they're going to look at you and they see what you've accomplished, and presidents of companies and running big projects in foreign capital firms in Japan and doing all this stuff and MBA and accomplishments and so on, and they say, I really like to do that. And I'm sure that there's going to be a good many who may fundamentally disagree with your approach and your viewpoints and the path that you've chosen, but there are going to be a lot who are going to be sympathetic. But then they're faced with this burden, this pressure, this extra thing that the guys don't seem to have to deal with, is this potentially incessant pressure from parents, friends, co-workers, what have you, to get married. And the pressure, I think, comes often in ways that are not intentionally designed to put pressure on somebody, but every time they'll say, aren't you married yet? Or, I have a nice guy I'd like you to meet. That's also a form of pressure in a way. It's an seemingly innocent question, but I know it can be quite hurtful if it's... what do you have to say to those women? You forged your own path, right? You cast aside the status quo. Sometimes you fight with it, sometimes you go along with it, but you have the sensibility to know when to pick your battles. Maybe too great for some of them to overcome in the way that perhaps you were able to overcome. You said you just got married last year, right? Yeah. What do you have to say to them?
In my case, I got married when I was over 40. I mean, 42, 43. So in that age, I mean, both of us didn't expect too much to others. So because we are, aged, growing up. But if I did have chance to get married with somebody more younger age, I might feel more, how can I say, more like feeling like a bird in a cage. I don't know. I want to do more, but I have to ask somebody else. It was lucky to do what I want to do when I was young. Yeah, but I'm happy now, but we are not sure if we can be happy for the future. So we have to create. We have to working toward to the happiness together. So that kind of mindset we can have because we got married when we are matured. So it depends on. Of course, it depends on personality and depends on the timing, and depends on each. So, but in my case, so I could feel I'm happy when I was matured, then got married.
So we were talking about the happiness equation. Happiness equals, what is it? Remember? Reality minus expectations. So I don't think you're saying that because one is a bit older that one's expectations are low. I think you're just wiser about reality expectations and what that means vis-a-vis your career, your life plan, your personal mission statement. Is he here with us tonight?
He was here at the graduation ceremony
Okay.
a year ago, so he knew. He knew
About your
what
mission
was
statement.
my.
What does he have to say about it? Your personal mission statement.
He's always saying, Yoko-san, you should do what you want to do. At this moment, I don't know 1 year later or 2 years later, and then actually he's an architect and he runs his own small business, not enterprise. So he knew everybody has to have the real work which he or she would like to deal with. And he decided to be architect. He decided to be running a small business by himself. So maybe if I run my own business too, financially it's going to be tough for short term. But he's really supportive to have that kind of opportunity. He's not stick with the big company. I mean, he decided to move. So in that sense, I mean, yeah, he really supportive to go through my personal mission.
But before I do that, let's give a round of applause for our guests. Yoko Suwa, Yoko Horiuchi, thank you very much.